I know everybody's stressed. I know that this is like, we're getting down to the nut cutting. And it is so traumatizing to drive around the United States of America and see that people you know and people you live around put up Trump signs and want to vote for a maniacal racist that idolizes Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, it is. It's disheartening when you see it. I mean, it kind of gives me like a drop in my stomach.
But we're not the first generation that has had to fight a good fight, and fight we will. And here's what we are up against. Here is Donald Trump, and all of his supporters think that he just loves America so much. Here he is saluting a remake of the national anthem, and listen to what they say at the beginning of this.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the horribly and unfairly treated January 6th hostages.
Do you remember when Colin Kaepernick took a knee to peacefully protest brutality, police brutality that seemed to be more targeted towards the Black community than the white community? A very peaceful First Amendment protected protest. Do you remember the stage 5 meltdown of this man from all of these MAGA supporters? And here they are saluting, quote unquote, hostages. Are you kidding me? These people are criminals. They're supporting a criminal. They should be in jail. They beat up cops. They paraded around with Nazi flags. They paraded around with Confederate flags. They wanted to hang the vice president of the United States because they're titty baby, sore losers. They're racist. They're deplorables. It's disgusting. This movement makes me sick.
It's sickening. And, you know, two things. Number one, as an attorney, when I see that, I think Jack Smith in the January 6th case in Washington, D.C. is going to use that against Donald Trump. This shows his frame of mind and his intent. So as an attorney, I'm like, I can't believe he would do that. And it is amazing to me that they have testified. I mean, there's almost 1,000 people in jail for the crimes that were committed. They took a shit in the Capitol, and he's all roses and lollipops with them. It's unbelievable is what it is.
You know why? Because they like him.
They like him, and
that's it. That's the only qualification. That's why this man is so dangerous. If you like him, any nefarious deed, any law you break, anything you do is completely excused if you do it out of your adoration of him, which is why he loves Putin so much,
right?
Which is why all of a sudden Elon Musk is buttering up to Trump so much, because guess who his phone girlfriend is?
Trumpy Elon sitting in a tree.
No.
Who?
Elon Musk has been communicating with Vladimir Putin. This just broke in the news yesterday.
I didn't see that. Oh my God.
Everybody surrounding Trump has a direct link to Vladimir Putin. And so on top of all of this crazy racist Nazi nonsense, Mike Flynn, Tucker Carlson,
Roger Stone,
all of them. And now we have Elon Musk, who is phone BFFs with Vladimir Putin. This is the most dangerous candidate for president that we've ever had. But just to keep elaborating on how little Donald Trump thinks of the United States of America and how weak of a leader he is. Listen to how weak this statement is.
We're like a garbage can for the world. That's what's happened. That's what's happened to her. We're like a garbage can.
I have never in my life known a presidential candidate or a leader to talk about the United States of America like that. And I just think, what do the NATO allies think when he says that? What do other world leaders think?
Weak. It's weak.
Weak.
He is a weak leader. This is the weakest candidate for president that we have ever had. He adores and worships autocrats and dictators. He mimics their language about the United States of America. He says it for them in the United States of America. This is Vladimir Putin's wet dream.
It is.
He is a total Russian asset. Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, and all the others you mentioned before. This is the most dangerous time of my lifetime to see an American candidate for president of the United States be this weak and dangerous on a national stage. And then to contrast how weak and pathetic Donovan Lecter is, let's hear the other candidate, Kamala Harris, at her rally last night.
There is a huge contrast in this election. Just imagine the Oval Office in 3 months. Picture it in your mind. It is either, but there's a choice that everybody has. So let's imagine it for a moment. It's either Donald Trump in there stewing over his enemies list, or me working for you, checking off my to-do list.
So, Pumps, why don't you speak to Donald Trump and his enemies list? Because you always dive into the trials and you dive into this portion of Trump's psyche. What about his enemies list? Can you share with our listener?
Donald Trump is so insecure that anybody that corrects him, that knows more than him, is a threat. So when he was in the White House, basically he always says, Russia, 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 it was a hoax. It wasn't a hoax. They had the evidence. Bill Barr flipped the script on it for the American people. That's why it stalled. Plus, he has all the sycophants.
Talking about the Mueller report. I mean, it reveals deeply a deep connection with Russia.
A deep connection with Russia, trying to bribe Zelensky with aid. So he sits around, he imprisoned Michael Cohen because Michael Cohen was going to write a book after him about Trump after he was released from jail. He put him back in solitary confinement. He has said peaceful protests, why can't we just shoot him in the knees, about American citizens using the military, admires dictators. Hitler had great generals. These are the things that he says. So he wants to use the power of the American military against its own citizens, and that is anybody that has criticized him. And now he's gone so far as to say CBS News, NBC News, anyone that has a differing view of him or does not support him, he is so fucking insecure, he can't take the criticism. He wants to pull their licenses or put them in jail.
I also read this morning that he said at a rally yesterday that he wanted to fire Jack Smith immediately and kick him out of the country. This is
of course.
Yeah, special
he wanted to bring
prosecutor.
generals back in to the military that were retired to court-martial them because they didn't support him.
Okay. And I think the root of all of this is racism. I think the reason that he has been able to get a large portion of the American electorate is because the United States of America has a deep, dark history of racism that we've been trying to reconcile, and it takes generations to reconcile it. But after Obama was elected, a lot of people were very angry about that. They felt like a Black man shouldn't be in the White House. And then Trump started all the racist tropes, and it just woke them up, and it made them feel justified. It made them feel, fuck yeah. It lit up all the white supremacy in them. But this is what they fear the most. Here is Tyler Perry at a rally last night with Obama, Bruce Springsteen, Kamala Harris in Georgia.
You want to hear something about an American dream? Fort McPherson was once a Confederate army base where there were Confederate soldiers trying to plot and plan on how to keep 3.9 million Negroes enslaved. Now that land is owned by me.
This is what I think irritates the MAGA movement so much. And I want to say to all of the self-identifying, I'm fiscally conservative, but socially liberal. I have a message to every single one of you out there. You're voting for a political party that has no problem with the Confederate flags.
None.
You're voting for a political party that has no problem with Nazi flags. These are your people. This is who you're voting for. And your silence against this is deafening. And history will not be kind to you. History is not kind to the oppressors. I think what Tyler Perry said is amazing.
I do too.
I think that the Confederate flag and the waving of it is so abhorrent, so disgusting, and so inherently racist. And it brings me pride that he is able to live the American dream, be successful. And what is he doing with his success? He's out there fighting the good fight. What is Donald Trump doing, who inherited $400 million and pissed it all away? He's fighting the worst fight imaginable. And who are his buddies fighting it with him? All these Christian nationalists. I saw, recently when Kamala had that viral clip where she said, "Oh, you guys must be at the wrong rally." Do you know what the protesters said, and you know who they were?
No.
They were two smug white kids.
Of course.
And two males. And they held up like crosses and said, "Jesus is Lord. Jesus is Lord." Of course, she couldn't hear what they said, but she knew that they were MAGA. So these guys, these white Christian, entitled, racist, Christian nationalist kids, they're probably 20, have been out on the right-wing media tour, getting a lot of the MAGA people upset because Kamala said, "Oh, you're at the wrong rally," meaning that they said Jesus of Lord, and she's saying, "Oh, you're not welcome here." And I got on Facebook, which I rarely do, but I had to look something up.
Oh, gosh.
And, I went to high school with all these crazy-ass Bible thumpers, right? And this is what was all in their feed. All of this about this Jesus is Lord stuff. And I want to say to every person who identifies as a Christian and is voting for Donald Trump, you are the exact reason that Christianity is in decline right now. You are the exact reason that the numbers of people that are affiliating with Christianity are on the decline, aside from the graph that goes upwards towards modern science proving things. But I digress. Your ability to not give a shit about poor people, about refugees, about immigrants, about sick people, your strong, overwhelming desire to judge members of the LGBTQ plus community, you're constantly tithing to these mega churches where their only desire is to grow and get more money. It is a stain in society. It is disgusting. Now, are there churches that fight the good fight? Yes. Are there members of the Christian faith that fight for the marginalized? Yes. But I can tell you what, in all these red states, they are few and far between because I barely see them. It is this disgusting display of Christian nationalism. And it is the fact that they can bend themselves into a pretzel to support such an immoral man makes me vomit. It's so gross.
I think the one thing, the MAGA movement, that we can be thankful for them is they have exposed the hypocrisy of these evangelical fundamental Christians. They've exposed it. These people are not moral. These people are not ethical. They are capitalists on steroids, and they don't give a shit about anybody but themselves. So for that, now we don't have to weigh, are they a good person? Are they a bad person? Are they misguided? Are they walking with their faith? No, they're amoral capitalists that don't give a shit about anybody but themselves.
That's a really good point, Pumps, because they do. Their vision of Jesus is a white rainmaker, a white capitalist that values profit over human beings.
Right.
And you see that from their megachurch pastors all the way down to the flock. You see that that's what they value. There was a lady that I kind of casually knew from a pickleball court, and she was always talking about her church and all this stuff. It's real nauseating, but nonetheless, she was talking about Trump one day, and I was like, he's disgusting. Like, that man is so immoral. And she was like, well, my stocks did a lot better with him. And I thought, oh, so you value your stock portfolio over the well-being of human beings. But obviously, this was a long time ago, and I haven't seen her since, haven't spoken with her since for obvious reasons. But since then, of course, we know that when you lift up the middle class, the Biden stock market has far surpassed. But in closing here, I just want to remind everybody that Project 2025 is locked, loaded, sitting there, ready and waiting. Trump knows it's wildly unpopular.
Right.
He's too lazy to come up with a policy decision himself. And the Heritage Foundation is ready. They are chomping at the bit. They cannot wait to pass the policy right over to him. Here is the president of the Heritage Foundation, author of Project 2025, dog killer, total sociopath, Kevin Roberts.
President Trump's understandable desire in the middle of a political campaign to say, I have nothing to do with that because the left's turned it into a liability. We can just shrug our shoulders and say, on November 6th, the page will turn to policymaking season. And not being arrogant here, that's our season.
That's our season.
That's our season. We're going all in on Trump because we know he'll do it because, like you said, he's the laziest motherfucker on the planet.
They know. They're ready. They are ready to do it. They seek a post-constitutional America. They seek to round up immigrants, which is horribly immoral. But for those fiscal Republicans, immigration has had a very positive impact on the economy.
Right. They pay into Social Security. They never use it. $22 billion a year was what I've heard last is immigrants pay $22 billion, add $22 billion to the economy.
This, if you remove this big of a labor force into the economy that the United States of America is, this is going to be recession/depression style impact. But I don't want to put too much weight in that because for me personally, the atheist, I might add, it's more important that we treat these people with dignity and respect and not demonize them because we're talking about human beings. We're talking about rounding up human beings. He's calling them garbage, vermin, all of these things. These are human beings, Christians. These are human beings. And you're voting for a man that demonizes them and you don't like the color of their skin and you don't like their accents. What does that say about that movement? It's evil.
I mean, I was going to say, we know exactly what it says. It says they are evil.
Yeah.
No question.
All right. Well, this has been another uplifting episode. We'll see you guys tomorrow.